Yeah, I still don't know how we won that game either. Let's just get into the video. What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to episode 10 of the Game Time Voice Report here on the Game Time Voice YouTube channel. I'm your host, Mike Walsh, and I thank you for joining me for another exciting trip around the world of sports. And of course, we really can't start anywhere else than Highmark Stadium in Buffalo, New York, where the Patriots, for some unexplained reason, went into Buffalo and beat Josh Allen in the Bills in Buffalo last night to improve to 3-2 and giving Buffalo their first loss of the season, dropping them to 4-1. Now you can point to a plethora of different things as far as, how did the Patriots come up with this win? Well, we're going to take a look at some of them just a little bit as to what this could mean, where the signs point, and just how most people probably didn't even give them a chance, and some of them, including myself, I will admit, went to bed expecting to wake up to a loss. Could the reason being that the Patriots had three takeaways of Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills offense, including an interception by Marcus Jones, who's quickly building a reputation as Mr. Everything for this Patriots team? Could it be the renewed kicking of Andy Borregales, the rookie out of Miami, who was 3 for 3 last Sunday, as well as having the game winner right down the middle and has put maybe some of his early season struggles behind? Could it be a rushing attack led by Ramondre Stevenson, who still has some of those fumble troubles that were plaguing him last year and at the beginning of this season, but had two touchdowns to reply and is going to be needed now more than ever with Antonio Gibson out of the year with an ACL injury and Travion Henderson maybe not quite ready to take over the bell cow of that backfield just yet? But with all due respect to all of those players and the coaches and everything else as to why the Patriots came away with a win that puts them right in the thick of an AFC East division title and maybe dethroning the Bills, who dethroned them as the dominant team in that division for many, many years. Well, it's real simple. It's these two guys. It's second year quarterback Drake Maye in his first year as a starter, who went 22 of 30 for 273 yards, and Stefon Diggs, who had 10 catches for 146 yards. These two are the dynamic duo the Patriots haven't had since Brady and Edelman and are pushing the Patriots forward to a playoff push, something we haven't talked about in a couple years in New England. The Patriots will look to build on this as they will take a trip down south to the Big Easy and take on the New Orleans Saints, who got their first win of the year this past Sunday. And you could watch the live stream commentary of that game with me this Sunday at 1 o'clock right here on the Game Time Voice YouTube channel. Now, from a team who are well into their season and are building towards a very good, successful one, to a team who's just about to get theirs started tomorrow night against Washington Capitals, the Boston Bruins announced the roster that will hopefully take them to the playoffs again and maybe a sneaky pick for the Stanley Cup as they announce the team they will build under first year head coach Marco Stern for the 2025-26 season. Now we're going to go position by position, take a look at some of the keys at the forwards, defense, and goaltending for the Bruins to have a successful year and return to the playoffs after missing out this past year. Can Morgan Geekie build off on his impressive 24-25 season that got him a healthy extension in the offseason while playing with David Pastrnak, who, as we know, will put up points in spades? Can Elias Lindholm try to get to where he was back in his Calgary days? As last year, he wasn't really the best for the Bruins, although he was plagued with a back injury for most of the year. And once he was finally healthy, the Bruins were well out of the playoff picture. Can Pavel Zacha return to form from 2 years ago in what may be his last year as a Bruin? And he might not even make it as his name has come up in trade talks in the offseason. Can Mark Kaslick and returning Sean Corrali build upon the success, really one of the only successes last year, as the bottom six were very, very consistent for the Bruins last year? Can they add to that core group? And can new players like Victor Arvidsson, Casey Middlestat, Jeffrey Veal, Fraser Minton, and Tanner Janot, can they come in and provide a spark for this Bruins forward group? From the forwards to the blue liners now, and the Bruins defense core is going to be reloaded, not so much as far as returning or just, returning investments from free agency, but more so returning investments from from injury last year. Can Charlie McAvoy return to form as a number one defenseman after he missed half the year with a shoulder injury he suffered during the Four Nations? Can Hampus Lindholm be that solid number two defenseman and return to his point getting that he was doing at the beginning of last year before he unfortunately missed most of the rest of the year with an injury? Can Mason Lohrei make a jump and get back to the points he was putting up 2 years ago and provide some depth in that second scoring defensive pair? And can Nikita Zadorov return on his investment in free agency 2 years ago, as last year's put into a role maybe he wasn't really prepared for as a number one or number two defenseman? Can he provide stability at that number three defenseman slot? And finally, can Andrew Peak, along with Hampus Lindholm, can he provide some important aspects at the penalty kill and maybe in that second power play unit after he won a international championship with Team USA at the World Championships this past offseason? And last but certainly not least, we head to the Bruins goaltending room and a lot of question marks there coming into this year. Can Jeremy Swayman, with a full offseason and a brand new contract, get back to the play that gave him the number one job at the tail end 2 years ago, as well as the playoffs, where people were talking about him as one of the top five goalies in the NHL after having a full offseason and returning to prime form? And can Jonas Corposalo get maybe a little bit more playing time under first year head coach Marco Sturm and provide some stability as to where Jeremy Swayman doesn't have to play as many games as he did last year? Maybe give him a sweet spot in that 50 to 52 range and give Corposalo 30 to 35 games to give Swayman a break and get him rested for the playoff push. The Bruins open up Wednesday night in the nation's capital when they take on Alex Ovechkin and the Washington Capitals. And then we'll have their home opener the next night here in Boston against the Chicago Blackhawks before ending 3 games and 4 nights on Saturday at 7 o'clock when they welcome in the Buffalo Sabres. That Saturday game, by the way, the second live stream this upcoming weekend, as you can watch it here and listen to my commentary here at 7 o'clock right at the Game Time Voice YouTube channel. And finally, we're going to head back to the college hockey ranks as we saw some action in the most recent rankings coming out of the USCHO as teams moved up, down, and maybe stayed a little bit the same. Western Michigan, the defending national champion, stayed where they were supposed to be at the number one spot as they did not play a game and are looking to build on their season as they play their first games this upcoming weekend. Michigan State jumped up to the number two spot as they have not played a game, but considering the team below them, what they did this past weekend, they didn't really have to and now jump up to the number two. Penn State moves up one spot after their weekend sweep of Arizona State, who jumped down to number 15. Penn State coming away with two successive victories in the sunshine in Arizona. And Gavin McKenna, the projected number one overall pick in next year's draft, came away with a 3 point weekend, 2 assists on Friday night, and the game winning goal on Saturday night, and a wicked celly to boot. Can Minnesota rebound after dropping 4 slots and splitting a weekend set with Michigan Tech after dropping from 8 to 12 in this rankings? And finally, we'll take a look at the Hockey East pairs here in the rankings as we look at Maine, who jumped up from 7 to 6, having only played an exhibition game against UNH. Providence, who jumped from ninth to 7th, only playing an exhibition game against St. Fraser University. UConn splitting with Colorado College. They go all the way down to 13th from 10th. UMass with a 2-0 week against Northern Michigan. They jump one spot to 14th. And UConn splitting with Colorado College. They jump down to 13th after coming down to 10th. Colorado College getting 92 votes, but just outside. And UMass Lowell, my boys, winning one game against Merrimack 4-0 this weekend, and they will play the second of that two set this Friday in North Andover against the Warriors. Be sure to stay tuned to ncaa.com, college hockey news, as well as hockeyeastonline.com to stay tuned for more college hockey action. And if you haven't done so already, go and check out my vlog where I take you behind the scenes of UMass Lowell's home opener against Merrimack that is up on the channel and was posted this past Monday. And now, the same way we end every episode of the Game Time Voice Report, we're going to take a look at the wackiest of the week. Some of the things in sports that really make us scratch our heads. And we're going to head back to Highmark Stadium in Buffalo, New York, in the Bills versus Patriots game, and take a look at a fan who got a souvenir from Josh Allen and decided that's it. You see, Josh Allen rolled out to his right in the Sunday game and was looking for some receivers. That's all the time we have for today here on the Game Time Voice Report. I've been your host, Mike Walsh, and I thank you for joining me here. Again, a couple scheduling things. This upcoming Saturday, Bruins, Sabres, third game of the year for the Boston Bruins. That will be live streamed here on the Game Time Voice YouTube channel, as well as on Sunday, 1 o'clock, Patriots versus Saints. So two live streams coming up this week, as well as this episode right here coming out on the channel and some shorts in between. I've been your host, Mike Walsh, and I thank you for joining me here on the Game Time Voice Report, episode 10. Make sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see you again next time right here on the Game Time Voice YouTube channel. Game Time Voice, as always, is the voice of the common sports fan.